Serial number 8724643. Remember that number because it tells one of the most shocking stories in modern military history. This UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter rolled off the assembly line in Connecticut in 1987, served American forces with distinction for over 3 decades, and was handed over to Afghan forces as part of a $6 billion aircraft transfer program. On August 15, 2021, Taliban fighters were seen flying this exact same helicopter over Kabul, celebrating their victory with American-made aircraft. But this isn't just about one helicopter. This is about how the United States systematically transferred billions of dollars worth of advanced aircraft to an ally, only to watch helplessly as every single one fell into enemy hands within days. We're talking about 78 aircraft worth nearly $1 billion, including attack helicopters, transport planes, and surveillance drones that are now being used by the Taliban to project power across Afghanistan and potentially beyond. The most disturbing part? Intelligence reports from March 2025 indicate that some of these aircraft may have been spotted in Pakistan and other neighboring countries, suggesting that America's former aircraft are now spreading across South Asia, potentially ending up in the hands of groups actively fighting U.S. allies. Welcome to Jet Insight, where we expose the military stories that Washington doesn't want you to hear. Today, we're investigating the greatest aircraft security disaster in American military history. How advanced American jets given to trusted allies ended up becoming tools of terror in enemy hands. The Aircraft Transfer Program. To understand how American jets ended up in Taliban hands, we need to go back to the beginning of what the Pentagon called its most ambitious aircraft transfer program in military history. Between 2005 and 2021, the United States provided the Afghan Air Force with 208 aircraft through various military assistance programs, representing a total investment of over $8 billion when you include training, maintenance, and support. This wasn't just about giving Afghanistan some basic aircraft. The U.S. was building what was supposed to become a modern, capable air force that could defend the country after American withdrawal. The centerpiece of this program was the transfer of UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters, the same aircraft that have served as the backbone of U.S. military aviation for decades. The Black Hawks weren't the only sophisticated aircraft transferred. Afghanistan received more than 40 operational MD-530 helicopters, which are light attack and reconnaissance aircraft capable of carrying rockets and machine guns. These helicopters had been specifically configured for Afghan operations and represented some of the most advanced rotorcraft technology available. The program also included more than 30 UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters, each worth approximately $20 million. These weren't stripped-down export versions. They were fully capable military helicopters with advanced avionics, defensive systems, and the ability to carry troops and supplies in hostile environments. Perhaps most significantly, Afghanistan received more than 23 A-29 Super Tucano attack aircraft. These fixed-wing aircraft had been specifically upgraded to drop laser-guided bombs and conduct close air support missions. Each Super Tucano represented a $10 million investment in Afghan air power and gave the Afghan Air Force the ability to conduct precision strikes against Taliban positions. The training program for these aircraft was equally extensive. The U.S. spent hundreds of millions of dollars training Afghan pilots, mechanics, and support personnel. American contractors provided ongoing maintenance and technical support, creating what Pentagon officials believed was a sustainable Air Force capability. If you believe American aircraft should never end up in enemy hands, type proud in the comments below. General Austin Miller, the last U.S. commander in Afghanistan, told Congress in 2021 that the Afghan Air Force represented our most significant advantage over the Taliban. He argued that Taliban forces had no effective counter to air power, and that maintaining Afghan air capabilities was essential for preventing a Taliban victory. The Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction reported that in just the most recent quarter, before the withdrawal, the United States had provided the Afghan National Army with more than $212 million in major equipment items, including aircraft systems and support equipment. But there were warning signs that this massive aircraft transfer program was in trouble. A 2019 Pentagon audit found that the Afghan Air Force was struggling to maintain aircraft readiness rates above 50%. Many aircraft were grounded due to maintenance issues, lack of spare parts, or insufficient trained personnel. Despite these challenges, the aircraft transfer program continued right up until the final withdrawal. As late as July 2021, just weeks before the Taliban takeover, the US was still delivering aircraft and equipment to Afghan forces, apparently confident that the Afghan military could maintain control of these valuable assets. The collapse and aircraft seizure. What happened next shocked military planners who had spent decades building Afghanistan's air power capabilities. The speed of the Taliban advance and the complete collapse of Afghan resistance meant that virtually every aircraft transferred to Afghanistan fell into enemy hands within a matter of days. August 14, 2021, marked the beginning of the aviation disaster. As Taliban forces approached Kabul, Afghan pilots began abandoning their aircraft at airbases across the country. At Bagram Air Base, once the largest U.S. military installation in Afghanistan, Afghan forces fled so quickly that they left helicopters and planes sitting on the tarmac with fuel in their tanks and weapon systems intact. The situation at Hamid Karzai International Airport in Kabul was particularly chaotic. According to the Pentagon report, 78 aircraft worth $923.3 million were abandoned at the airport alone. While U.S. forces attempted to disable some of these aircraft before their departure, many remained in flyable condition when the Taliban took control. Videos that emerged on August 15th showed Taliban fighters examining American-made helicopters and aircraft with obvious excitement. These weren't just photo opportunities. Intelligence analysts could see Taliban personnel who appeared to have some familiarity with aircraft systems, suggesting that the group had been preparing for this moment. The most shocking footage came on August 31st, 2021, when Taliban forces were filmed flying a captured Black Hawk helicopter over Kandahar. The sight of the Taliban flag flying from an American-made helicopter sent shockwaves through the Pentagon and intelligence communities worldwide. But the Taliban's aircraft acquisition went far beyond what was captured at major airports. Intelligence reports indicate that Taliban forces systematically seized aircraft from smaller airfields and forward operating bases across Afghanistan. Many of these aircraft were in better condition than those at major bases because they had been abandoned more quickly, with less opportunity for Afghan forces to disable them. Jake Sullivan, the White House National Security Advisor, acknowledged the scope of the aircraft loss during a press conference on August 17, 2021. We don't have a complete picture, obviously, of where every article of defense materials has gone, but certainly a fair amount of it has fallen into the hands of the Taliban. The Pentagon's initial response was to downplay the significance of the captured aircraft. Officials argued that the Taliban lacked the technical expertise to maintain and operate sophisticated aircraft like Black Hawks and Super Tucanos. They predicted that most aircraft would quickly become inoperable due to maintenance requirements and lack of spare parts. However, this assessment proved overly optimistic. Within weeks of the takeover, Taliban forces were conducting helicopter flights over major Afghan cities. By September 2021, they had organized a military parade featuring captured American aircraft, demonstrating that they had at least some operational capability. The Taliban's new air force, the Taliban's transformation from a guerrilla force into a group with air power capabilities, represents one of the most significant military developments in modern conflict. Intelligence agencies worldwide are still assessing the full implications of this sudden acquisition of advanced aircraft. The numbers are staggering when you consider what the Taliban inherited. According to Pentagon estimates, they gained control of more than 40 operational MD-530 helicopters, over 30 UH-60 Black Hawks, and more than 20 A-29 Super Tucano attack aircraft. This represents more air power than many national militaries possess. The MD-530 helicopters are particularly concerning because they're designed for light attack and reconnaissance missions. These aircraft can carry rockets, machine guns, and other weapon systems. In the hands of Taliban forces, they provide a significant advantage over ground-based opponents and the ability to project power across Afghanistan's mountainous terrain. The Black Hawks represent an even greater capability leap. These helicopters can transport up to 11 combat-equipped troops, carry external loads weighing up to 9,000 pounds, and operate in extreme weather conditions. For a group that previously relied on pickup trucks and motorcycles for transportation, the acquisition of Black Hawks represents a revolutionary change in mobility and logistics capabilities. The A-29 Super Tucanos may be the most dangerous aircraft in Taliban hands. These are purpose-built attack aircraft capable of conducting close air support missions, dropping precision-guided bombs, and engaging ground targets with rockets and cannons. The aircraft that Afghanistan received had been specifically upgraded with laser-guided bomb capabilities, giving the Taliban a precision strike capability they never possessed before. Intelligence reports from early 2022 indicated that the Taliban had succeeded in getting several aircraft operational. Videos posted on Taliban social media showed helicopters conducting flights over Kabul and other major cities. While the quality of these operations appeared limited, the fact that Taliban forces could operate the aircraft at all surprised many military experts. The Taliban has also demonstrated some ability to maintain their captured aircraft. Satellite imagery from 2022 and 2023 shows aircraft being moved between different airfields, suggesting active management of aviation assets. Intelligence sources report that the Taliban has been seeking assistance from countries like China and Pakistan to improve their aircraft maintenance capabilities. Perhaps most concerning are reports that Taliban pilots include former Afghan Air Force personnel who defected rather than fled the country. These pilots bring years of training and experience with American aircraft systems, potentially giving the Taliban a more capable aviation force than initially assessed. By 2024, intelligence agencies estimated that the Taliban had maintained operational capability with at least 20 aircraft, including both helicopters and fixed-wing aircraft. This represents a significant military capability for a group that the U.S. spent 20 years trying to defeat. Aircraft spotted beyond Afghanistan. The most alarming development in this ongoing crisis is intelligence indicating that some American aircraft may have moved beyond Afghanistan's borders. Multiple intelligence sources have reported aircraft movements that suggest Taliban aviation assets are being shared with or sold to other groups. In March 2023, Pakistani intelligence reported tracking unidentified helicopter flights along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border. While these flights couldn't be definitively attributed to Taliban aircraft, the flight patterns and timing suggested possible cross-border aircraft operations. Pakistan has expressed concern about Taliban aircraft being used to support militant groups operating in Pakistani territory. Intelligence reports from 2024 indicate that Taliban representatives have held discussions with various groups about potential aircraft transfers or sharing arrangements. While specific details remain classified, these reports suggest that American aircraft could end up in the hands of groups beyond the Taliban's direct control. The concern isn't just about direct transfers. Taliban-controlled aircraft provide a training platform for pilots from other militant groups. Intelligence agencies are monitoring whether pilots from groups like the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan or other regional organizations are receiving training on American aircraft systems in Afghanistan. There are also concerns about component harvesting. Even if complete aircraft aren't transferred, valuable components like avionics, weapon systems, and engines could be removed and sold to other groups. These components could be used to upgrade other aircraft or provide technical intelligence about American aviation technology. The Iranian connection is particularly concerning. Intelligence reports suggest that Iranian representatives have shown interest in examining captured American aircraft. While Iran already has access to advanced military technology, the specific configuration of aircraft provided to Afghanistan could provide valuable intelligence about current American capabilities and tactics. Chinese interest in the captured aircraft has also been documented. Intelligence sources report that Chinese technical personnel have visited Afghanistan since the Taliban takeover, ostensibly for infrastructure projects, but potentially with secondary interests in examining American military equipment. The most troubling possibility is that American aircraft could be used to support international terrorist operations. While the Taliban has stated that it won't allow Afghanistan to be used as a base for international terrorism, the reality of controlling these commitments with aircraft capabilities remains unclear. The intelligence nightmare. Beyond the immediate military threat posed by Taliban-controlled aircraft, these captured jets have created a massive intelligence vulnerability that continues to compromise American operations worldwide. Each aircraft contains advanced technology, communication systems, and operational capabilities that provide insights into American military aviation. The avionics systems in captured Blackhawks include sophisticated navigation, communication, and defensive equipment. These systems contain software and hardware configurations that reveal details about American helicopter operations, including flight patterns, communication protocols, and defensive measures. Even if encryption keys have been changed, the physical systems provide valuable intelligence about American capabilities. The weapon systems integrated into attack aircraft like the A-29 Super Tucanos represent particularly sensitive technology. These aircraft were configured to carry American-made precision-guided munitions and include targeting systems that interface with U.S. military networks. The capture of these systems provides insights into American precision strike capabilities and targeting methodologies. Maintenance manuals, technical documentation, and spare parts inventories left with the aircraft provide detailed information about American aviation technology. These documents reveal not just how to operate the aircraft, but also their limitations, vulnerabilities, and maintenance requirements. This information could be used to develop countermeasures against similar American aircraft in future conflicts. The communication equipment installed in these aircraft is another major intelligence concern. While communication encryption has likely been changed, the radio systems, satellite communication equipment, and data links provide insights into how American aircraft communicate and coordinate operations. Flight training records and operational procedures left behind with the aircraft reveal American tactics, techniques, and procedures for aviation operations. These documents show how American forces conduct air operations, including flight patterns, mission planning, and coordination with ground forces. Are you a military veteran or aviation enthusiast? Before we dive deeper into the ongoing implications of this aviation crisis, I want to take a moment to speak directly to our military community and aviation enthusiasts who understand the true significance of what we're discussing. If you're a veteran who served our nation, whether as a pilot, crew chief, or in any capacity supporting aviation operations, you know the incredible value and capability of the aircraft we're talking about. You understand that these aren't just machines, they're force multipliers that represent decades of American technological advancement and the dedication of countless service members who operated and maintained them. If you're a retired pilot who flew Blackhawks in combat, or a mechanic who kept Super Tucanos mission ready, or an aviation enthusiast who appreciates the engineering excellence of American military aircraft, we want you to know that your insights and expertise are invaluable to our community here at Jet Insight. We're building a place where people who understand aviation and military operations can come together to discuss these critical issues. Your experience, whether in military service or civilian aviation, helps provide the context and expertise that makes these discussions meaningful. Join our growing community of military veterans, aviation professionals, and patriotic Americans who believe that stories like this need to be told and lessons need to be learned. Subscribe to our channel, engage in our comment sections, and help us ensure that the voices of experience and expertise are heard in these important conversations. Together, we can make sure that the failures that led to American aircraft falling into enemy hands are never repeated, and that the sacrifices of those who served are never forgotten. The regional aviation threat. The presence of American aircraft in Taliban hands has fundamentally altered the security balance across South Asia, creating new threats that affect multiple U.S. allies and partners. The implications extend far beyond Afghanistan's borders, as these aircraft provide the Taliban with power projection capabilities that were previously impossible. Pakistan faces the most immediate aviation threat from Taliban-controlled aircraft. The porous border between Afghanistan and Pakistan, combined with the Taliban's new air mobility capabilities, has created security challenges that Pakistani forces struggle to address. Pakistani intelligence reports document increased helicopter activity along the border, suggesting that Taliban aircraft are being used to support cross-border operations. The threat to Pakistan is particularly acute because the country lacks comprehensive air defense systems along its western border. Pakistani officials have expressed concern that Taliban aircraft could be used to transport weapons, personnel, or supplies to militant groups operating within Pakistan. The mobility provided by helicopters like the Blackhawks makes border control exponentially more difficult. India is also monitoring the Taliban's aviation capabilities with growing concern. While Afghanistan and India don't share a direct border, the potential for Taliban aircraft to support groups operating in Kashmir or other disputed regions has raised alarm bells in New Delhi. Indian intelligence agencies are tracking whether any former Afghan pilots with Indian connections may have remained with Taliban forces. The broader implications for regional air sovereignty are equally troubling. Countries throughout South Asia now face the reality that a non-state actor possesses more aviation capability than many national air forces. This creates diplomatic and security challenges that affect everything from border control to counter-terrorism operations. Iran's relationship with Taliban aviation assets remains unclear but concerning. While Iran and the Taliban have complex relations, intelligence reports suggest Iranian interest in examining captured American aircraft. Any sharing of aviation technology or expertise between Iran and the Taliban could create additional regional security challenges. Central Asian republics like Tajikistan and Uzbekistan face potential aviation threats from Taliban-controlled aircraft. These countries have limited air defense capabilities and could struggle to respond to Taliban aircraft operating near their borders. The potential for Taliban aviation to support drug trafficking or other illicit activities across Central Asia has become a major concern for regional governments. The technological transfer crisis. One of the most understated aspects of the Taliban's aircraft acquisition is the massive technology transfer that occurred when these sophisticated aircraft fell into enemy hands. This isn't just about losing individual aircraft. It's about transferring decades of American aviation technology development to a hostile force. The UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters captured by the Taliban represent over 40 years of continuous technological development. These aircraft include advanced turbine engines, sophisticated transmission systems, and flight control technologies that took billions of dollars and thousands of engineering hours to develop. The Taliban now has access to all of this technology. The avionics systems in these aircraft are particularly valuable from a technology transfer perspective. Modern military helicopters include advanced navigation systems, communication equipment, and electronic warfare capabilities. Even if these systems are encrypted or password protected, the physical hardware provides insights into American technological capabilities. Engine technology represents another significant transfer. The T-700 turboshaft engines that power Black Hawks are among the most advanced helicopter engines in the world. These engines include sophisticated materials, science, precision manufacturing techniques, and performance characteristics that could be reverse engineered by countries hostile to American interests. The A-29 Super Tucanos include even more advanced technology in some respects. These aircraft were specifically configured for precision strike missions and include targeting systems, weapons integration capabilities, and mission computers that reveal details about American close air support tactics and technology. Maintenance equipment and technical documentation left with the aircraft compound the technology transfer problem. Complete maintenance manuals, spare parts inventories, and technical specifications provide a roadmap for understanding every aspect of these aircraft systems. The long-term implications of this technology transfer are still being assessed. Countries like China and Iran, which have expressed interest in examining captured American equipment, could potentially use insights gained from these aircraft to improve their own aviation capabilities or develop countermeasures against American aircraft. The failure of oversight. The scale of the aircraft losses in Afghanistan raises serious questions about the oversight and management of America's largest military assistance program. How did the United States transfer nearly $1 billion worth of aircraft to an ally without adequate safeguards to prevent their capture by enemy forces? Congressional oversight of the Afghan aircraft program was notably limited throughout its duration. While Congress appropriated billions of dollars for Afghan military assistance, there was little detailed scrutiny of how aircraft were being transferred, maintained, or secured. The lack of congressional engagement allowed the program to continue, even when warning signs emerged about Afghan military capabilities. The Pentagon's own oversight of the aircraft program revealed significant problems years before the Taliban takeover. Government Accountability Office reports documented aircraft readiness problems, maintenance challenges, and questions about the sustainability of Afghan air operations. Despite these warnings, the aircraft transfer program continued without major modifications. Inspector General reports specifically highlighted concerns about aircraft security and accountability. A 2019 audit found that many Afghan aircraft were not being properly tracked or maintained, raising questions about whether they could be effectively secured in an emergency. These concerns proved prophetic when Afghan forces abandoned aircraft across the country during the Taliban advance. The State Department's role in overseeing foreign military sales also came under scrutiny after the Taliban takeover. The department had responsibility for approving aircraft transfers and ensuring that proper end-use monitoring was in place. The failure to prevent these aircraft from falling into enemy hands suggests major deficiencies in the foreign military sales oversight process. Contract oversight presents another area of failure. American contractors were responsible for maintaining Afghan aircraft and training Afghan personnel. The rapid collapse of these contractor operations when security deteriorated left aircraft vulnerable to capture. Better contingency planning could have ensured that aircraft were secured or destroyed if contractor support was withdrawn. The intelligence community's assessment of risks associated with the aircraft program also appears to have been inadequate. While intelligence agencies were aware of Afghan military limitations, they apparently failed to adequately assess the risk of complete military collapse and the implications for aircraft security. The current threat assessment. As we move through 2025, intelligence agencies continue to monitor the evolving threat posed by Taliban-controlled American aircraft. The situation remains dynamic, with new intelligence emerging regularly about Taliban aviation capabilities and intentions. Current intelligence assessments suggest that the Taliban has maintained operational capability with approximately 15 to 20 aircraft of various types. This represents a significant reduction from the peak of Taliban aircraft acquisitions, likely due to maintenance challenges and lack of spare parts. However, the aircraft that remain operational represent a substantial military capability. The Taliban's pilot training program has apparently expanded beyond former Afghan Air Force personnel. Intelligence reports suggest that the Taliban is training new pilots on captured American aircraft, potentially creating a more sustainable aviation capability. The quality and effectiveness of this training remain unclear, but the effort suggests long-term Taliban intentions to maintain air power. Maintenance and support for Taliban aircraft appears to involve assistance from foreign sources. Intelligence agencies are monitoring potential cooperation between the Taliban and countries like China, Pakistan, and Iran in maintaining aircraft operations. Any significant foreign technical assistance could substantially extend the operational life of captured American aircraft. The weapons capabilities of Taliban aircraft remain a major concern. Intelligence reports suggest that the Taliban has maintained access to rockets, machine guns, and potentially more advanced munitions for their aircraft. The combination of air mobility and firepower provides capabilities that the Taliban never possessed during their previous period in power. International flight activity by Taliban aircraft has been limited but concerning. Intelligence agencies have tracked some Taliban aircraft flights that approached international borders, raising questions about potential cross-border operations or aircraft transfers. While most flights appear to be domestic, the potential for international operations remains a concern. The propaganda value of Taliban aircraft continues to be significant. Videos and images of Taliban forces operating American aircraft have become powerful recruitment tools and symbols of Taliban victory over American forces. This propaganda impact extends beyond Afghanistan and may inspire other groups to target American military equipment. Lessons learned and prevention. The loss of American aircraft to Taliban forces offers critical lessons that must guide future military assistance programs. The scale of this disaster demands comprehensive reforms to prevent similar losses in future operations. Equipment transfer protocols need fundamental revision. The current system that allowed nearly $1 billion in aircraft to be transferred without adequate safeguards must be reformed. Future aircraft transfers should include mandatory security measures, such as remote disable capabilities or automatic destruction systems that activate if aircraft fall into unauthorized hands. Rapid withdrawal planning must prioritize equipment security. The chaotic nature of the Afghanistan withdrawal left no time for proper aircraft evacuation or destruction. Future withdrawal plans must include detailed timelines and procedures for securing aircraft before personnel evacuation begins. Partner nation assessment procedures require strengthening. The Pentagon's evaluation of Afghan capabilities to secure and maintain aircraft proved inadequate. Future assessments must include more rigorous evaluation of partner nation security procedures and realistic assessment of their ability to prevent equipment capture during military emergencies. Congressional oversight of military assistance programs needs enhancement. The lack of detailed congressional scrutiny of the Afghan aircraft program allowed problems to persist for years without correction. Regular congressional hearings and independent audits should be mandatory for all major military assistance programs. Contractor contingency planning must improve. The rapid collapse of contractor support for Afghan aircraft left equipment vulnerable to capture. Future contractor agreements should include detailed contingency plans for equipment security If contractor operations must be suspended, intelligence assessment of equipment vulnerability requires improvement. Intelligence agencies failed to adequately assess the risk of rapid military collapse and its implications for equipment security. Future intelligence assessments must include detailed analysis of equipment vulnerability under various collapse scenarios. End-use monitoring systems need technological enhancement. Current monitoring systems proved inadequate for tracking aircraft provided to Afghan forces. New systems should include satellite tracking, remote monitoring capabilities, and automatic reporting of aircraft status and location. The broader implications. The Taliban's acquisition of American aircraft represents more than just a military setback. It's a strategic disaster that undermines American credibility and complicates security relationships worldwide. The implications of this crisis extend far beyond the immediate threat posed by Taliban-controlled aircraft. American military credibility has been significantly damaged by the aircraft losses. Allies and partners worldwide have observed the failure to secure nearly $1 billion in aircraft, raising questions about American competence and reliability. This credibility damage affects everything from arms sales negotiations to intelligence sharing agreements. The precedent set by the aircraft losses could encourage adversaries to target American military assistance in other countries. Knowing that the U.S. has abandoned billions of dollars in equipment could make adversaries more aggressive in trying to capture American weapons in future conflicts. Arms sales relationships have been affected by the Afghanistan aircraft crisis. Several countries have reconsidered planned purchases of American aircraft after observing the Taliban operating captured American helicopters and planes. The sight of Taliban forces flying Blackhawks has become a powerful counter-marketing tool for competitors of American defense companies. International arms control efforts have been complicated by the aircraft losses. The uncontrolled transfer of advanced military aircraft to a non-state actor undermines international efforts to control arms proliferation and sets a concerning precedent for future conflicts. Regional security architectures throughout South Asia have been destabilized by the Taliban's new aviation capabilities. Countries that previously relied on air superiority to maintain border security now face opponents with significant air mobility, requiring expensive adjustments to defense strategies and capabilities. The intelligence implications continue to unfold as information about American aircraft systems potentially spreads to countries and groups hostile to American interests. The long-term intelligence costs of this technology transfer may exceed the immediate financial losses. Conclusion. The story of American jets falling into Taliban hands represents the greatest aviation security disaster in U.S. military history. From the UH-60 Blackhawks that once protected American soldiers to the A-29 Super Tucanos configured for precision strikes, nearly $1 billion worth of advanced American aircraft now serves the very enemy these jets were meant to defeat. Serial number 87-24643, that Black Hawk helicopter we started with, now flies over Afghanistan displaying the Taliban flag instead of the American colors it once proudly carried. This single aircraft represents not just a machine lost to the enemy, but a symbol of strategic failure that will affect American security for years to come. The 78 aircraft abandoned at Kabul airport, the dozens more seized at airfields across Afghanistan, and the ongoing reports of Taliban aviation operations represent more than just equipment losses. They represent a fundamental failure in planning, oversight, and execution that allowed America's most advanced aviation technology to fall into enemy hands within days. The consequences continue to unfold across South Asia and beyond. Pakistani security forces face Taliban aircraft along their borders. Intelligence agencies track potential aircraft movements to other countries. Military planners worldwide study how the Taliban transformed from a guerrilla force to a group with air power capabilities overnight. But perhaps most troubling is what this crisis reveals about the systems and processes that were supposed to prevent such disasters. Years of warning signs were ignored. Oversight mechanisms failed. Contingency planning proved inadequate. The very institutions responsible for protecting American military technology instead presided over its wholesale transfer to enemy forces. The brave men and women who flew these aircraft in service to America deserved better. The pilots who risked their lives in Blackhawks over the mountains of Afghanistan, the maintainers who kept Super Tucanos mission ready, and the countless service members who depended on aviation support throughout 2 decades of conflict all deserved leadership that would ensure their aircraft never became tools of enemy propaganda. American taxpayers who funded this equipment deserved better accountability and oversight. The families of service members who made the ultimate sacrifice in Afghanistan deserved assurance that the tools of their sacrifice would never be turned against American interests. The allies and partners who trusted America to provide security leadership deserved confidence that American military assistance would strengthen, not undermine, regional stability. As intelligence agencies continue monitoring Taliban aviation activities and tracking the potential spread of American aircraft technology, one thing remains clear. The lessons learned from this disaster must guide future operations to ensure that American jets never again end up serving enemy forces. The sight of Taliban fighters flying American helicopters over Kabul will remain one of the most powerful symbols of strategic failure in American military history. But it must also serve as a catalyst for the reforms and accountability measures necessary to prevent similar disasters in the future. The American military remains the finest fighting force in the world, capable of projecting power and protecting freedom anywhere on the globe. Our aviation technology represents the pinnacle of engineering excellence and military capability. The men and women who operate and maintain this equipment deserve leadership that will never again allow such valuable assets to fall into enemy hands. If this investigation into America's greatest aviation security disaster has opened your eyes to the importance of military accountability and oversight, please like this video and subscribe to Jet Insight. Your support helps us continue exposing the stories that need to be told and holding leadership accountable for protecting America's military assets. Share your thoughts in the comments below about what reforms you believe are necessary to prevent future aircraft losses. Let us know if you're a veteran, active service member, or aviation professional. Your insights and experiences are invaluable to these critical discussions. The story of American jets in enemy hands is far from over, and will continue following this developing crisis as new intelligence emerges. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and never forget that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance in protecting the tools that defend it.